Good early afternoon. It is Thursday, April 16th. I'm your friendly TikTok news anchor, JJ Hastings, and these are the stories you need to know for your day today. Just a slight caveat, I am having a little bit of a flu, so I apologize for both how I look and if I sound a little off, but let's go ahead and jump right in. I want to start with a domestic story today. Shocking development out of Annandale. The former Virginia Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax and his wife Serena Fairfax have died in an apparent murder suicide. According to local news reporting, Fairfax County Police responded to the family home shortly after midnight after receiving a 911 call from the couple's teenage son. Now, investigators state that Fairfax shot his wife several times before turning the gun on himself. Both of the couple's teenage children were inside the home at the time of the shooting. Now, authorities revealing additional context that the couple was separated and undergoing a contentious divorce. Fairfax serving as lieutenant governor from 2018 to 2022, a term notably marked by sexual assault allegations, which he consistently denied and characterized as political attacks. This tragedy underscores the harrowing reality of domestic violence, which often escalates during both separation and divorce, regardless of the perpetrator's public status or political power. A grim reminder this morning that these patterns of behavior and allegations of violence that often follow public figures in their professional lives have devastating private consequences for those close to them. Sending my most humble wishes and prayers to the Fairfax family this morning. Now, moving over to Ukraine enduring its most intense aerial assault in weeks as Russian forces launched nearly 700 drones and dozens of missiles across the country. The AP is reporting that the bombardment, which targeted civilian areas, including Kiev and Odessa, has claimed at least 16 lives and injured more than 80 others. Ukrainian air defense successfully interrupted the vast majority of the targets, over 660, according to reports, but several of those missiles did hit residential zones, causing significant structural damage. Now, this attack follows President Zelensky's recent diplomatic tour of Europe, where he was looking to secure more air defense systems, urging his international partners to maintain strict sanctions on Russia and fulfill pledges for military support, specifically Patriot missile systems. This latest barrage of missiles highlights the relentless human cost of the ongoing Russian aggression against the fragility of Ukraine's defenses without consistent, expedited international aid. As the Kremlin continues to target non-combatants, the normalization of these war crimes remains a significant threat to global stability and the international order. You are seeing every day around the world bombings and attacks. And it is becoming very commonplace for you to see that footage. And that's what that normalization means. I need you to consistently and constantly remember when you're seeing this footage and this reporting that these are attacks on civilians. Now, moving to my neighbors to the north, Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers declaring a state of emergency following a series of devastating storms that began earlier this week. As reported by multiple local Wisconsin sources, the state has confirmed at least 6 tornadoes alongside record rainfall and widespread flooding. Now, Evers' executive order allows for the mobilization of state resources and personnel to assist local agencies in their recovery efforts. Communities like Union Center have seen significant structural damage and power outages. Governor Evers has urged residents to remain vigilant as the National Weather Service warns that more severe weather may be on the horizon. These record-breaking events are increasingly becoming our new baseline. For you at home, this state of emergency is a direct look at the escalating climate crisis hitting the American heartland, testing the limits of local infrastructure and the necessity of state-led environmental resistance programs in the face of federal policy shifts around emergency and disaster management. Now let's move over to Lebanon. President Trump announcing, as always, via social media, that Israel and Lebanon have agreed to a 10-day ceasefire. Now, this is according to reporting coming out of Reuters that ceasefire is set to begin at 5 p.m. Eastern today. The president cited, quote, excellent conversations with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Lebanese President Joseph Aoun, While a temporary pause, the president has directed high-level officials, including Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio, to work toward a lasting peace. One thing we know that team really excels at. That was sarcasm. He further indicated that both leaders would be invited to the White House for formal negotiations in the near future. While any pause in violence is obviously a relief for civilians on the ground, the 10-day window is exceptionally short and raises questions about whether this is a durable peace or a brief public relations victory. You should watch closely to see if this peace addresses the root causes of the conflict, or if it simply serves as a stage for a high-profile White House photo op while those systemic tensions remain unresolved. As a reminder, in my reporting yesterday, I talked about how there has still, now for many months, been a ceasefire between the Gaza Strip, Palestine, and Israel, and yet Israel continues to bomb and cause destruction in that nation. And in my final story today, a federal jury in New York has delivered a landmark verdict finding that Live Nation and Ticketmaster operated as an illegal monopoly. CNN reporting that the jury validated claims that the entertainment giant used its dominance to stifle the competition and inflate your ticket fees. Now, while the jury found that Ticketmaster overcharged states by an average of $1.72 per ticket, you as a fan might not see immediate relief. A second trial now has to take place to determine what those remedies would be, which could include the forced breakup of those companies. Now, notably, this verdict comes after a recent separate settlement that I reported on a couple of weeks ago between Live Nation and the Justice Department, though more than 24 states chose to proceed to trial to seek more aggressive structural changes than were delivered there. This is a major win for consumer rights and antitrust advocates who argue that corporate consolidation, when multiple companies come together into one, has stripped everyday people of their purchasing power. However, the contrast between that secret settlement that was reached by the Trump administration's DOJ and the persistence of these state-led coalitions shows a clear divide. While federal enforcement may be softening, state-level resistance remains a critical tool in checking the power of these massive corporations. Well, that's the news I have for you today. I will come back later into the evening with any important updates for you. What questions do you have? What do you want to know? Let me know down below. As always, I'm JJ Hastings, and I'll see you in the next one.